Algebra 1 EOC Review Part 4 Inequalities. The first thing I'm going to go over is how to graph an inequality and how to know which side or which area you're supposed to shade. Alright, so here we have our inequality. Y is greater than or equal to negative x minus 1. So let me first graph it, okay? Now, to graph it, the first thing I'm going to do is just graph it as if it were this line, all right? I'm going to ignore the inequality for a moment while I just graph the line based on what we know of how to graph this line right here, okay? And to graph this line, I've always told you to first put a point at the y-intercept. The y-intercept is negative 1, okay? And now let's do the slope, all right? The slope here is negative 1, all right? First of all, the fact that it's negative means that the line is going to be going down from left to right, and the slope is a 1, right? So that means that the slope is negative 1 over 1. So the negative sign tells me it's going down, the rise is 1, and the run is 1. So I would go down 1 and to the right 1, down 1 and to the right 1. And if I want to go this way, up 1 and to the left 1, up 1 and to the left 1. All right, so let me just say that in Spanish real quick, and then I'll do the rest. Así que para hacer el gráfico de esta inequalidad, lo primero que voy a hacer es hacer el gráfico como si fuera esta línea. Ok, le cambié este signo al signo de igual por el momento. Estoy pensando como si fuera esta línea. Así que lo primero que hago es poner un punto en el y-intercept que es negativo 1 y después el slope es negativo. Eso me dice que la línea va para abajo, de izquierda a derecha. Y el slope es 1 sobre 1. Así que tengo que ir para abajo 1 y para la derecha 1. Para abajo 1 y para la derecha 1. O si quiero ir para la izquierda, para arriba 1 y para la izquierda 1. Para arriba 1 y para la izquierda 1. Okay, now comes the next part, okay? So, look at the inequality sign, all right? All right, if it has that bottom line means that it could be equal to. It's greater than or equal to. If it could be equal to, then this line, this line is going to be solid. Okay, if it would have been, let me just stop there, it keeps going. If it would not have had that equal sign, then I would have drawn a dashed line, which I'll show you in a second, examples like that, right? But because it has the equal sign on the bottom, my line is going to be solid all the way, whatever, let me just keep going. All right, como tiene esta línea abajo, esta rayita, que quiere decir que puede ser igual a, entonces esta línea es sólida. Pero en un momento vamos a ver ejemplos donde no tienen esta línea abajo y la línea tiene que ser una línea rayada. Okay, now I got to determine which side do I shade, all right? To determine which side to shade, you got to pick a random point, any random point you want, but I'm going to tell you which one you should pick. You pick a random point and substitute it for x and y. Like, let's say I pick a point from the right side. Any point on this to the right of the line. When I plug it in for x and y, if it makes this statement true, then I shade that side. If it makes this statement false, then I got to shade the other side. All right? Now, the point you should always pick is the point that's easiest to use, which is 0, 0. Right? You should always use 0, 0. I'm going to use 0, 0 in every example. So if I take 0, 0 and substitute it into this equation for x and y, I'll have 0 greater than or equal to 0 minus 1, which means 0 greater than or equal to negative 1. Is that true or false? Is 0 greater than or equal to negative 1? 0 is greater than negative 1. That's true. So that means this side, I got to shade this entire side to the right of the line. All right. Tienen que pueden escoger un punto, cualquier punto, para sustituirlo dentro de esta inigualdad y ver si lo hace verdadero o falso. Si lo hace verdadero, el lado que tiene ese punto que escogiste es el lado que tiene que colorear. Si lo hace falso, quiere decir que es el otro lado que tiene que colorear. Deben siempre escoger el punto 0,0 porque es el más fácil de usar. Cuando yo he sustituido 0,0 en esta inigualdad, ¿ok? Me da 0 es más grande que igual a negativo 1. Eso es verdadero, así que eso me dice que este lado, el lado que contiene 0,0 es el lado que tengo que colorear. All right, so that would be my answer. Let's look at another example. All right, so notice that this example, it does not have the equal sign. It just says greater than. So when I draw this line, it's going to be a dashed line, which I'll show you in a second. So again, first of all, I'm just going to graph it, imagining that it says that, okay? Primero voy a hacer el gráfico imaginando que esta línea. Right, so first put a dot at the y-intercept, which is positive 7. Now the slope, I keep getting examples with positive 1 here, but the slope is positive, so the line is going up from left to right, and the slope is 1 over 1. So this would be my line, like that. Okay? Now the line, because it can't be equal to, the line is going to be a dashed line. What I mean is, a dashed line is this. I'm not drawing it like perfectly straight, but you get the idea. Something like that. Okay, una línea rayada porque no tiene el signo de igual ahí. Okay, now again, pick a point to plug in there and see if it makes a statement true or false. You should pick 0, 0. So when I put 0, 0 into that inequality, I'm going to get 0 greater than 0 plus 7, 0 greater than 7. Is that true or false? Is 0 greater than 7? No, 0 is not greater than 7. 0 is less than 7. That means this side is the false side. The other side is the true side. So you got to shade this side over here. Okay, cuando sustituyo 0, 0, me da falso. Así que este lado es el lado falso. Este es el lado verdadero que tengo que colorear. Alright, so this would be my answer. It's very easy. Alright, this is not difficult at all. Esto es fácil. All right, I'm gonna just display these answers for the sake of time, okay? Because I gotta get to other types of problems, okay? Así que para este problema, ahí está la respuesta. Again, because it has the equal sign, the line is gonna be solid, and test which side to shade by plugging in 0, 0 after you've graphed the line. Here's another example that you could check later to make sure you understand it. Okay, now what I want to get to, here's some more examples. All right, now I want to get to a system of inequalities, which if you understood what we just did, it's the same thing, but with two. Now we got to do two lines, and I'll show you how to figure out what we got to shade, all right? Okay, ahora es la misma cosa, pero con un sistema de inequalidades, all right? So let me do one at a time. First, we got this one. So first I'm going to put a dot at the y-intercept, which is right there. What's my slope? It's positive, so it's going up from left to right. Positive 1 over 1. So this is the graph of the line. Okay, slope es positivo 1 sobre 1. And it can't be equal to, so I'm going to draw a dashed line. Okay, no puede ser igual a, así que la línea es una línea rayada. Okay, now let's check the shading. All right, for the shading, I'm going to substitute 0, 0 to see if that makes it true or false. Ok, voy a sustituir 0, 0 para ver si eso hace esta inigualdad verdadero o falso. 0 less than 1. Is that true or false? That's true. 0 is less than 1. So in red, I'm gonna shade this side in red. We're gonna have a big mess here in a second. All right, let me change colors so I could do the other line. I should have done it in green to match what's on the bottom, but too late now. All right. All right, so in blue, let's do the other one. It says y less than negative 4x plus 4. So again, first thing is put a dot at the y-intercept, which is positive 4. Now the slope is negative, so the line is going down from left to right, and the rise is 4 and the run is 1. So I go down 4 and to the right 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down 4 and to the right 1, or I could go up 4 and to the left 1. Okay, now again, it's not equal to, so I'm going to have a dashed line. Okay, now let me test what side to shade. All right, this is important. So I'm going to plug in 0, 0 into this equation. When I plug it in, I'm going to get 0 less than negative 4 times 0 plus 4. When I simplify that, I'm going to have 0 less than 4. That's true. So that means that, notice where the blue line is, 0, 0 made it true. So that means for the blue line, I shade all of this side, right? Okay, now the only part that you should shade for your actual answer, let me change the color here. Whoops. Is the part that they both have in common, the part that's shaded by both lines, which would be this part right here. That's the part that they both have in common. That's true for both of them. All right, so for the red line, I shaded everything to the right. For the blue line, I shaded everything to the left. But the only part that should be shaded in your final answer is the part that corresponds to both. The shaded part that corresponds to both answers, which is this part right here. Okay, así que para la línea roja, can't even talk. Para la línea roja, coloreé para la derecha y para la línea azul para la izquierda. Pero la única parte que debe estar coloreada en tu respuesta final es la parte que corresponde a las dos soluciones, a las dos respuestas, que sería esta parte que tienen en común las dos líneas coloreadas. Esa es la única parte que debe estar coloreada en su respuesta final. So there's your answer. Again, that's not difficult. I get that you probably haven't practiced it in a year, but it's not difficult. That's easy. I'll do one more quick example and then we'll move on. Okay? Este es el último ejemplo que voy a hacer. Alright, so, and this time let me use the right colors. So orange is the top one. And I have no orange, let me use red. Alright, so y is greater than 3x plus 7. Alright, so first of all, put a dot at the y-intercept, which is positive 7. The slope is positive, so the line is going up from left to right, and my slope is 3 over 1. So go up 3 and to the right 1, or down 3 and to the left 1. Down 3 and to the left 1. 1, 2, 3. Down 3 and to the left 1. Okay, and my line is going to be dashed because it can't be equal to. Alright, now the other one, let's do it in green. What happened here? I didn't mean to hit that. Sorry about that. Okay, so I forgot to test which side to shade. I forgot to test. All right, so if I put 0, 0, if I put 0, 0 in here, I'm gonna get 0 greater than 7. That's false. 0 is not greater than 7. Eso es falso. So that means that it's I gotta shade to the left of the red line. All right. Now let's do in green the other line. Okay, so the other line is y is less than or equal to negative 1 over 9x plus 7. So first put a dot at the y-intercept. Sorry about that. All right, and the slope is negative, so the line is going to go down from left to right. All right, so the slope is negative, and the rise and the run is 1 over 9. So go down 1 and to the right 9, or up 1 and to the left 9. Wait. All right, and since it could be equal to, my line has to be solid. All right, now test 0, 0, and you'll get 0. When you plug in 0 and 0, you're going to get 0 less than or equal to 7. That's true. So you got to shade beneath the green line. So the answer is going to be the part that corresponds to both, which is this section right here. Okay, la respuesta es la parte que corresponde, o mejor dicho, la única parte que debe estar coloreada en la respuesta es la parte que corresponde a las dos respuestas, que es esta parte de aquí. Alright, so there's my answer. Alright, I'm not going to work out anymore, but remember how to graph these lines. So you may want to look at that one and examine it. I don't want to make this video any longer than I have to, but look at those, how you would graph that. Okay, miren cómo se hace el gráfico de estas líneas. Alright, here's some more examples. Again, some of those examples may be tricky to you. I would look at it, examine it, and make sure you know how to graph those lines. Alright, now we're into the problems that are on your exam. This one I'm just going to put the answer because I think it's pretty easy. Alright, so That's pretty easy. Just look at it. Just realize that he only has $40 to spend. So whatever he spends, well, they all have the same for the 40, so it's not a big deal. That one's real easy. Just look at it. All right. Esa es demasiado fácil. All right. Moving on. Which of the following inequalities have the solution shown on the graph? All right. Trying to think of an easy way to. First of all, let me show the answer. All right. How would I approach this one? The way I would approach it is let me see one thing here. All right, let me check something out with the correct answers. The first one is that. So if I put it in slope intercept form, I'll have. Remember that when you. All right, this is actually, I wasn't planning to go over this right now, but this is a good reminder because this is something that's easy for everyone to forget, including myself. Remember when you have inequalities, if you multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, the sign flips directions, and that's what I'm about to do. I'm about to move the -4 to the other side and divide, so the sign is going to flip directions and become that. When I divide by -4, this is going to become a negative divided by a negative, which is going to equal a positive. Same thing, -40 divided by -4 becomes +10. All right, so what I wanted to check is, notice that when I get this one in slope-intercept form, it's the same as this equation right here. And if I plug in 0, 0 to check which side to shade, it should be false. When I plug in 0, 0, I'm going to end up getting this, because you put a 0 here and this cancels out, and that's false. 0 is not greater than 10. So it's the left side that I got to shade. So this one is correct, this one is correct, and this last one, okay, let me put it in slope-intercept form so I could analyze it. Let me just say what I said here real quick. Recuerden que cuando tienen inigualdades, si multiplico o divido los dos lados por un número negativo, el signo cambia direcciones. Eso es muy importante y es muy fácil olvidarse de eso. ¿Ok? Aquí cuando dividí por -4, el signo cambió de dirección. ¿Ok? Y lo puse en slope-intercept form para poder analizarlo mejor. Cuando lo puse en slope-intercept form me doy cuenta que me da lo mismo que está aquí, que es la ecuación de esta línea. Y cuando sustituí 0,0 para comprobar qué lado se tiene que colorear, me dio que sí, es este lado que tengo que colorear. Ahora déjame mirar la respuesta al final. All right, so hey, by the way, notice that this third equation is similar to the fourth one, except the sign is wrong. It has the equal sign, and it's got to be it can't have the equal sign if it's a dashed line. So notice that. All right, you got to take each one of these at a time. Oh, and okay, let me point out something else here. This is very tricky. Like if you don't know what you're doing, it's easy to get one wrong. Look at this one right here. If I would have forgotten to flip the sign, then the second answer is exactly like the first answer, except with except the whatever. The 40 is different, but the sign is not flipped. So you got to be careful with all that stuff. When you're dealing with inequalities, you should have a red alert going off to watch out for the flipping of the sign. All right. All right, but let me get to the last one. All right, so the last one says this: -10x plus 8y greater than 80. All right, now if I put it in slope-intercept form, it'll be 8y greater than 10x plus 80. Now I divide by 8, and it'll be y equals 10 over 8x plus 10. And when I simplify the 10 over 8 by dividing the top and the bottom by 2, I get 5 over 4. So it's the same equation as this one. Okay, cuando simplifico esta fracción me da 5 sobre 4, igual que las otras dos. All right, so that's why those three are the correct answers. All right, moving on. This one I'm just going to display the answer. Listen, this follows the pattern of what I said earlier. When you're doing a system of equations with inequalities or a system of inequalities, the top equation has to do with the quantity, like how many of each things. So there's adults and children. We don't know how many adults and children, but in total, hold on. There's adults and children. We don't know how many, but in total, the bus has a maximum capacity of 40 people. That means you could have 40 or less on there. So the number of adults plus the number of children has to be less than or equal to 40. All right. And then on the bottom has to do with the money. It's $15 for each adult, $8 for each child. And the company needs to earn a minimum of $400 to make a profit. So they got to be equal to 400 or greater than 400 to make a profit. And then you just test 0, 0 to figure out which side to shade. All right. And the side that they have in common in this picture is this right here, the area that they have in common. Again, test 0, 0, and you'll see what I mean. For this line, 0, 0 will make it true. For the other line, 0, 0 makes it false. And then the area that they have in common is the shaded region for the entire answer. All right, let me move on. Let me just say that in Spanish real quick. Ok, así que recuerden mi sistema. Arriba se escribe casi siempre esta ecuación de arriba se trata de la cantidad de cada persona. Dice que hay adultos y niños. No se sabe cuánto hay de cada uno, pero el autobús tiene una capacidad máximo de 40 personas. Así que puede ser igual a 40 o menos que 40. Y para hacer dinero, bueno, están cobrando $15 por cada adulto y 8 por cada niño. Y para hacer dinero tienen que ganar un mínimo de $400. Así que tienen que ganar más que 400 o igual a 400. All right, moving on. Which of the following inequalities have solution sets that include positive numbers? All right, so that you just got to work it out. For example, let me do the first one and see what happens, right? So combine like terms. All right, so the first one says this. When I get the G's on the left, I'm going to have 5G, move -7 to the right by adding it. So 5G less than 10. So that means G is less than 10 divided by 5. So G is less than 2. Let me read the question again. Which of the following inequalities have solution sets that only include positive numbers? If G is less than 2, that includes negative numbers. All right, so G is not, so this first one is wrong. Okay, así que cuando resolví esta inigualdad, me dice que G es menos que 2 y la pregunta dice ¿cuál de las siguientes tienen soluciones que solamente incluyen números positivos? So the first one is wrong. Let me try the second one. I don't want to do them all, but let me just try the second one real quick. -5h plus 1 less than -2h minus 17. So let me get the h's on one side. If I move -5h to the right, I'm going to have 3h greater than. Now move -17 to the left. 3h greater than 18, so h is greater than 18 divided by 3. So h is greater than 6. Those are only positive numbers, so that one's correct. If h is greater than 6, those are only positive numbers, okay? H es un número más grande que 6, así que esa solución solamente contiene números positivos. All right, those are the rest of the answers. Hopefully there's no mistakes in those answers. All right, we've already done this. Which system of inequalities represents the graph? You just got to look at it carefully. And by the way I would do this, let me do letter A. All right, the way I would do this is put everything in slope-intercept form. Is this going to take a few minutes to work out? Yeah, it is. Again, either take 5 minutes to get it right or 5 seconds to get it wrong. Like whatever. You can imagine what I'm going to say. All right, so for letter A, the top equation, if I put it in slope-intercept form, it would be, again, remember when you divide by a negative number or multiply by a negative number, both sides, the sign flips. All right, so if I divide by -1, this will become -x minus 10, and the sign flips directions. Right, recuerden que cuando dividen o multiplican por los dos lados por un número negativo, el signo cambia de dirección. All right, so first of all, let's check this equation. The y-intercept is at -10. Bro, that's not even on here. So this one is wrong. Okay, just look at that. Did I have to do the whole thing? No. Just by putting it in slope-intercept form, I could see that the graph of this line is not even here because it's supposed to have a dot at the y-intercept, which is at -10. Is this going by 5s, 10, 15, 20? Yeah, it is. So it should have a dot right here, and that's not on there. The line should be crossing that y-axis right there, and that's not on there. So just by doing that, I was able to eliminate this answer. That took me, what, a couple seconds. Okay, así que simplemente con poner la primera en la forma slope-intercept, pude ver que esa no puede ser la respuesta porque el gráfico de esa línea tiene que tener un punto en el y-intercept de -10 y no está ahí. No está intersectando el axis de Y ahí. All right, so, but I would put all of these in slope-intercept form and analyze it that way to see which one is correct. Yo pondría cada ecuación que está ahí en la forma slope-intercept para analizar cuál está correcta. Ya en la letra A lo pude eliminar simplemente haciendo eso para la primera inigualdad que está en la respuesta. All right, so the correct answer is letter D. And just to look at it real quick, because once I display it, I start thinking stuff. So look, x plus y less than or equal to 10. So when I put this one in slope-intercept form, it'll be this. So the y-intercept is +10, which is right there. Okay, that's the y-intercept. And the slope is -1/1. Since all the units are going in 5s, you could just go down 1 unit, to the right 1 unit, down 1 unit, to the right 1 unit. All right, it could be equal to, so the line is solid. And when you plug in 0, 0, you're going to get 0 less than or equal to 10, which is correct. So that's why you shade to the left of that line. And then the other one, when you put it in slope-intercept form, it's going to be that. So the y-intercept is +20, which is this point right here. Okay, and the slope is 1/1, +1/1, so it's going like that. And when you test 0, 0, all right, it makes that statement true. So you shade to the right. So the part that they both have in common is this. What I'm trying to show you is that it doesn't take an hour to do that. Yeah, I'm probably quicker than you guys, but it just takes a few minutes to work it out and get it correct instead of a few seconds to just put whatever that anybody could do. All right. All right, this is too easy. All right. At least 25 students. So it's got to be equal to 25 or greater than 25. All right, at least. Okay, you should just check that out, read it, and make sure you understand it. Esto es demasiado fácil. Está preparando la clase para por lo menos 25 estudiantes. Así que este signo tiene que ser igual a 25 o más que 25. All right, guys, that concludes this portion of the review.